What's up, Winnipeg?
Um, I agree.
Hi,
Hello, my name is Willows,
and my name is Tyler.
and this is Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics drunk and then sober, but not in that order, to see if we come to the same conclusion. Today we're drinking a ton of my vodka soda that my company produces. It's called White Shell. You can buy it on shrugdoc.com, shrugdoc.com. But these are not actually...
These don't exist.
These aren't actually the White Shells. These are low fills. So they're... Every time we do a canning run, you get like a certain amount of them that are like not filled all the way to the top. So we had like 8 cases of those in the last casing run. So
Oops.
we're just drinking a bunch of them. So
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
it's not my bottling line.
Yeah,
so
like when we went to the cabin and you were like, "Hey, let's bring 8 cases."
I was kidding.
8 cases of white. I mean, well, you still brought two flats, and it's like that's like a lot, especially when you bring $500 of other alcohol for a 2-night stay.
it's fine. It's
very ambitious of you.
better to be prepared and to have lost than to need a gun and not drink.
Enough liquor. Wow, that was really profound.
Huh? What's up?
Yeah, as I was saying, I've been actually getting up early this week. Like, I've been on a probably year and a half streak. No, probably like a year-long streak since I've been unemployed. Gainfully unemployed. I've been waking up around like 8:30, 9 o'clock, sometimes 9:30, and just like getting to work at like 10:30, and then working late till 7 to 8 o'clock.
So let's recreate the conversation we had seconds before I started recording, where I'm like, oh yeah, the other day I slept until 4 p.m. And you're like, yeah, but what time did you go to bed? I'm like, I don't know, like 8:30 in the morning. You're like, well, that was still like a 6-hour sleep. You just fucking...
Yeah, that's not sleeping. I've been sleeping like 8 to 9.5 hours a night.
Yeah, I've
Like a lot.
Man, I've been fucking COVID, man. I have like reached a point of COVID fatigue where like I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just like, why do I exist?
You're just lethargic.
Like I don't even
existential about it.
Yeah, like I'm not sure if I exist. Like this is I died in a plane crash, and this is on the way back from Mexico.
This is purgatory.
And this
hell.
is fucking purgatory. We're on Lost right now. Like
God,
I am.
That's actually a great way to describe the last year. This is, yeah, we're in purgatory.
Because like at first it was like I was panicked for my business, not so much getting sick. From the beginning. If you go back and listen to all these podcasts, we were never scared about getting sick, or at least dying from getting sick.
Yeah.
And we've been taking precautions with our family and loved ones that are at risk, so we've been okay with that. But I was concerned for my business for a while there. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was burped right into the mic. I meant to. Okay. I didn't know what was going to happen with the business. I didn't know, if government would just be like, yeah, you're on your own and like whatever, right? I didn't know. And now that kind of things leveled out.
Yeah. Thankfully, the Canadian government came in heavy, so didn't really have to sweat that.
I love socialism now.
Yeah.
But here's what I kind of want to lead into to start is on the topic of kind of COVID, lethargia
Socialism?
and not that part. The COVID
COVID coma.
COVID coma. What do you think it means for a lot of like startups that have like now lost their momentum entirely because of COVID? Because momentum is something I think we can both agree is very, very important for startup businesses. Like,
and to be clear, you're talking about like the startups who had no plan B, other option,
Which
way,
a lot
way
of,
to deal. Like they're straight up getting fucked.
well, if this had happened to me year one, I would have gone out of business. No question.
Yeah.
So, I'm just fortunate that I'm in year 4 and I can weather the storm, but there's a ton of businesses, even people I know, that are just closing shop because what are they doing? Right?
Yeah.
And for a lot of businesses, like especially startups, you need to be like doubling every year or you're fucked. Like you need constant momentum.
Yeah, or you're not gonna be able to feed yourself.
Exactly, right? So what do you think about that? The people that just had to take a year off, like, do you think they can just jump back into it, or like?
I think there's going to be a frenzy of rebuilding. I think there's going to be a period of time where it comes up really quick, but I don't think we've seen the lowest point.
And I agree with you. I think
I think we got a ways to go down yet. I think, like we're probably going to see housing market crisis within the next 3 years would be my prediction, because usually that happens within about 3 years of a major recession or economic event.
Trudeau's drained our coffers to pay for CERB and everything. Like, we're out of money. Well, like, the country's out of money. Like,
inflation's going to pick up. Interest rates are going to go up.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's, if you want to get your ass back up, you better do it soon.
But I guess people can't, though.
You can always pivot and do something different.
Yeah, I guess. But what about, like, friends of ours that own, name a thing, nightclubs? I don't have any friends that own nightclubs, but, like, name it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
like,
I'm saying, like, they could pivot and start like, are you talking about the individuals or the businesses? Because in many cases, the businesses are fuzzed and they may not come back for a long period of time. Like, anything like, one thing I've been paying attention to is airlines.
Yeah.
And I learned two things about airlines. One of them is that in many cases, the point system, like
loyalty and shit.
Yeah, like loyalty programs that brands own or airlines own, they will trade and have been sold for more money than the remainder of the airline is actually worth.
Because you have a bunch of loyal customers and shit?
Well, just the point system itself, like the data and like the fake currency, quote unquote.
Why is that worth money? Why is Bitcoin worth money? Fuck!
Exactly. No, it's they were trying to explain it. They're like, technically it's a Ponzi scheme, but as long as there is a percentage that's not being redeemed, and like people don't get too good at using the points.
So it's like Social Security.
Yeah, it's like there's a percentage of atrophy that allows it to work, and they're like, it's kind of a weird thing, because the customers benefit, the airline benefits, and the banks benefit.
Yeah, who's getting fucked? Somebody has to get fucked.
The only people getting fucked are the ones that are choosing to not use the points.
And then they die and they have like 20,000 miles.
Or letting their points atrophy, or they just don't know how to use them effectively.
Because like I have used my points like once every few years when I'm like have a flight and I'm like, oh, cash them in.
Right, exactly. So the casual user like you is the reason that it works for everybody. And even whether or not you like have a real monetary reward, like a real substantial reward for using those miles or having those miles, you at least feel like you got a reward.
Yeah, more or less. Well, because I'm using my fucking credit card anyway, so I'm getting free points for every dollar I spend, so whatever, right?
Yeah, so it's very complicated and convoluted system, but they're like, hey, it's working so far. Like the major like people cashing in and changing different points, right? It creates like some ripples in this. It's a completely unregulated like currency exchange economy.
Want to start a point system?
Yeah.
Okay, what was your point?
It's incredibly hard. So that like airlines, for example, can be worth less than their own point system. So if you're wondering like how some airlines are staying alive, well, their point systems are still alive. You know, I still have a WestJet credit card that I swipe every day.
Yeah.
So that comes into play.
Have you ever been on a WestJet flight?
Many.
I don't think I ever have.
Just cross Canada flights.
Air Canada, boy.
Yeah, I mean,
Air New Brunswick, boy.
If you're looking at new businesses to get into, like there's like anything airline related, they're expecting that to not bounce back to 100% possibly ever.
Do you think that in the future, going forward, like let's say 5 years from now, post-COVID, 20 years from now, post-COVID, whatever, post-COVID, when somebody's writing a business plan, do you think they should consider what their pandemic like contingency is?
I think for a period of time it'll be required.
I wonder if it is right now. I bet it is. Well, because of COVID, right? Because I've talked to a lot of banks and a lot of creditors in my time. None of them have ever given me fucking a dime. Yeah. But I have talked to a lot of banks. Yeah. Pretty much every bank and credit union.
Every rejection teaches you something.
Yeah, in this province, I have tried to get business money from when we were starting. And not one of them asked me, okay, what if a global pandemic happens and you have to shut down for a year? They barely asked me, what if one of you dies? a couple of them, like RBC, I think did, was like, okay, if one of you dies, what happens?
Right.
Right. But like a lot of them didn't even ask, like, as far as their contingency plan is, it's just like, are you not selling enough? There's never anything that they're thinking about like that.
Yeah, they may not even care about that. They just want like assets and track record.
Yeah. I wonder if that's interesting because what we all, I think a lot of us were thinking stuff like this doesn't happen anymore.
I'd be interested to see how much banks are losing because of COVID.
Well,
Or
probably,
how much, sorry, what loan defaults look like.
yeah. Well, I think they're probably going to go up from here, I would say.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I think that the 6 to 18 months after everything goes back to normal, I think is when we're really going to see everyone get fucked. Because people are being, like, businesses are being more or less forgiving right now. Like, banks, like, I didn't pay interest on my credit card for 9 months. Because the bank's like, oh, sorry, COVID.
Yeah.
Like, you know, whatever. But, like, stuff's going to start piling up on these people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the payment's going to come due at some point. But, again, it's like, if the entire world is doing the same thing,
What's
do
gonna
they
happen?
just be like, kind of give that, slow sidelong glance? It's like, let's just shovel that under the rug.
Let's just start fresh.
Yeah,
kind
let's
of
just
thing.
scratch out the last 2 years of debt, and everyone can just restart and pretend it never happened. Like,
Well, I guess like I think, you know what I'm worried for is that a lot of business owners that are going to be impacted heavily by COVID aren't going to want to get back out there after this is over. They're not going to want to start again.
there's always a percentage of those, but that's why, like, a lot of great businesses and like massive changes always come out of crises like this.
Yeah,
Because
it's like what was it? Juicy Fruit was a like a playing card company or something, and they gave people free gum to buy their playing cards. And then they made so much money on the gum, or people liked the gum so much, like maybe we should just become a gum company, and they flip flopped. I don't know if it was cards, but it was something like that. It was like toys or
oh,
something.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I can imagine there's going to be a lot of different businesses that are going to come out of this stronger because I remember in the first couple months of the pandemic, at that period of time, I was thinking about buying a business, and just thinking about all the different ways that a business could be built to withstand virtually anything. Like,
Yeah.
I just started looking at things differently. I'm hoping other people do as well, but
I
I think the vast majority are just gonna be like, I fucking hope it doesn't happen again. Cross my fingers and do the same shit over again,
I think the
and then blame the government when they do lockdowns because it's not fair.
yeah, I think you're right. I think like I remember when the lockdowns first started or no, when they first started not letting people sell goods that like weren't essential or whatever. Like
Mhm.
when like and people were be like, well, why Walmart can be open for everything just because they sell some essential goods? And I'm like, yeah, start selling fucking steaks then, right?
Things that people need.
Yeah, start selling like pivot, right? Like I didn't have a lot of sympathy for people bitching, but maybe it's just the atrophy, the COVID, but I'm apathy coming in. But like, man, I don't know. I don't know what people are supposed to fucking do. Like some of these people, like I know I do, I do a lot of farmers markets and stuff, and I know a lot of people that were relying on having a good summer and they didn't because of COVID,
Yeah.
and they're just fucked. Like that's it. Like I've seen a couple businesses go under. I know one girl that closed her business to get a full-time job because she couldn't support it anymore, and she's a kid. It's like,
Yeah, can't you just like come back eventually?
yeah, well, yeah,
Probably.
I guess, but like I don't know. Like people, I think there's something to be said about the morality isn't the right word. Like like
Morale.
morality instead of
Yeah.
morality.
I buy it.
Okay, the morality behind like running a business. Like people are their fucking confidence is killed if they went out of business once. A lot of
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah, no, I'm like thinking about like my father. He's been bitten twice, 4 times shy at this point.
Yeah. Cause yeah, like I know a ton of people that they're like, well, no, I could never. I've been told because I get told by people all the time like, oh, I can't believe you started a business so young. I could never do that kind of stuff. Like, I could never run a business. When I was 20, I tried this thing and I fucking failed and I never tried again. And it's like, okay. Like, I hear stories like that all the time.
I think it's because some people get into business with like in the back of their mind, they're like, well, if this doesn't work, then I'll whatever. And I've had those thoughts too. I'm like, yeah, if I'm not a millionaire by 35, I might just go get like my master's degree and be a lawyer or something like that, because that might be fun.
See, that's where me and you differ. I never had a backup plan.
Well, I'm not saying it's a plan. I'm saying I've had the thought, and it's been tempting, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I really suck at just making money and I'm miserable, like, I can see myself just going and just, plugging away at a trade that's really good. Or like, maybe I'll go try to work in like I've talked about, like, work in government, but like as a non-elected government official for like something that could be something I'm interested in, like foreign affairs or something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a million things that I could see myself doing, but we'll probably never get there.
Yeah. There's, I think it's Chris Webby is a rapper. I think he has a line in some song that's like, my plan B is my skill set.
Yeah.
Like, basically saying, like, I don't have to have a plan B because I'm skilled at what I do. So even if this doesn't work out, like, I'm under that kind of idea as well, where it's like, at this point, I think can sell anything.
Yeah. Well, I think I've told you this story. I don't think I've mentioned in the podcast before, but I was on a flight from Vancouver back to Winnipeg, and
did you quarantine?
No. And we were sitting next to this guy and started a conversation, and it was me and business. I guess technically it was my boss. I can't call my partner. Whatever. I hate that word in my mouth. And anyway, we started a conversation. We had just come back from a trade show, and he's like asking us what we were doing, and we're like, oh, we just came back from a trade show. This is what we did, and I got him super interested. He's like, oh, that's a kind of a cool business. And he's like, yeah, I used to actually own a marketing agency, and we worked with these types of businesses. So he's like, I know a little bit about it. So we like talked shop for a while. And so like, oh, what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm actually, I'm a crisis therapist. And we're like, oh, that's interesting. He's like, yeah, the government flies me in when there's like a natural disaster or like some
global pandemic.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm sure he's real busy right now.
He's making the big bucks right now.
Now that you mention it. But yeah, he gets flown in for natural or like big disaster. For example, like the Humboldt bus disaster. Yes. The Humboldt bus disaster. He was flown into Humboldt to do like crisis counseling for people in the town. You
know that guy's getting deported. Fun fact.
Oh.
He's so if you're not aware, a semi collided with a bus of children, or they weren't children, they were teenagers on a hockey trip.
Basically killed an entire hockey team.
And killed a bunch of people. Killed like 13 people, I think, 15 people, something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But it was this, he got ruled not no, he's in jail.
He was at fault, but I don't think he was criminally responsible.
Yeah, how can you be at fault but not criminally responsible, though? Because he's in jail.
Maybe he was criminally responsible. No, he didn't get like, I think maybe he was criminally responsible, but it wasn't like homicide.
Yeah, well, manslaughter, I guess, is different.
Charge.
Yeah,
or reckless endangerment or something. Like, I don't know.
Anyway, whatever.
We don't know the charges.
He's in jail for 8 years, the semi-driver, and he's getting deported at the end of the 8 years back to India. And he's trying to make a petition to not get deported because he's like, my kids are here, my wife is here, I have no family, no business, I've lived here for 30 years.
Yikes.
Or something, and it's like, fuck, or maybe not 30 years, but maybe like 5, and he's like a permanent resident, not naturalized citizen. Not a citizen.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, you're not a citizen, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, I don't have a life back home. Like, what do you do? Like, so he's petitioned. That's happening right now. That was a tangent, though. Yeah.
Anyway, so this guy's a crisis therapist, but I think he's in his mid-50s. I don't have a shot glass.
Keep talking.
Oh wait. He's in his mid-50s, and he said he got to about the age of 45, and he had a pretty successful marketing agency in Vancouver. I think he said he had like 15 employees, so like definitely a multi-seven-figure business. And he's like, yeah, I just got sick of the headaches, and he's like, it was kind of a thankless business. He's like, I was just, at the mercy of clients, and he's like, I just stopped enjoying it. So I just sold my business, went back to school, and he's like, now I'm as happiest I've ever been.
That's interesting.
He's
I think here let's do before we get into the next topic, which is going to be, is it too old to switch my career? This is the segment that we like to call Shot Caller, where you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take on the show in this segment that is this. So shout out to Barstool Sports, who gave us this bottle of Pink Whitney vodka, right?
It's a lemonade vodka.
Yeah, it's like pink. You've probably heard of it.
It's Pink Whitney. Shut the fuck up. Let's take a shot.
So thank you, Barstool Sports, for sponsoring this episode. Cheers.
Also, if I have told that story before, fuck off, because I haven't been outside in a year, so I don't have any new stories to tell.
That's the big problem is with this podcast, is like we're running out of shit to say because we're not doing anything interesting.
Well, nothing interesting has happened to me.
Well, that's what I mean is like I get up and I go to work the same days every week. Like I used to do cool things, go out and make sales and find new things, but it's like I don't do any of that because it's just COVID, right?
Like Carly was gonna go. She was gonna go spend a month between like Ireland and France, I think.
Yeah. Well, we were gonna go to Cuba.
Yeah,
that was the plan. Like this month.
Super is not gonna happen.
Yeah. No shit.
Yeah, she's kind of cheesed. She's like, yeah, I was gonna go to like France and Ireland for a month and then come back and get a job and then work a bit and then go get my master's degree.
Oh yeah, because she just finished her bachelor's.
Yeah.
So she had time. Your girlfriend is who we're talking about.
Taking a gap year.
She had time to go travel and then come back and do the master's, but
instead sat at home for 6 months applying for jobs.
Ugh.
Finally got one, and now she's a preschool teacher. Speaking of which, and also the fear of getting sick, I got a little bit sick last week.
Oh no!
Like I started feeling like I had a little, like very vaguely sore throat, like on Thursday. I guess it was like the day after a podcast.
Yep.
And I'm like, whatever. It's probably gonna go away by the end of the day. But it just kind of persisted all day. I'm like, okay, we'll see if it's back tomorrow. Next day, wake up, it's worse. I'm like, fuck. I go to work, start feeling kind of like lightheaded and weird, like out of it.
Hey, don't go to work when you're sick.
Couldn't focus on anything. It was gonna be like a super short day anyways. Like I had like 2 or 3 hours of shit to do. So I leave work by 11 in the morning, and I'm like, I was initially planning on doing like 3 or 4 different errands, whatever, running all over town, get a new phone, bunch of other things. And then by the time I got to like 11 o'clock, I was feeling so shitty. I'm like, God, I shouldn't go anywhere. Probably shouldn't go like run to a bunch of places while I'm feeling like this. I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to like go get a COVID test because it's 11:30 on a Friday and I have nothing to do and I feel like shit. So I'm like, all right, got a COVID test. It was super fast. Like,
yeah, that's what they're
pulled
saying.
into the parking lot. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
I was in the facility, gave them my information. I didn't have to fill out any paperwork because I guess they don't want you touching the paperwork, so they do it all for you. And got the swab and got out in probably under 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's good.
It was super quick. So whatever, got it done. Fucking hopped in my van, went back home. Woke up the next morning, felt fine.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
And then like 18 hours later, had my results. Came back negative. Symptoms were all gone already, and I was like ready and raring to go, whatever, by Sunday morning. So
yeah, I had a sore throat a couple weeks ago. Well, and that's the thing. It's like all the stuff that you would just ignore normally is like, oh, I am dead. I am literally dead. Like,
well, here's the funny part: is it actually very well could have been a real case because the day after my test came back negative, Carly came home from work. She now works at a preschool, and that's a pretty hectic place. There's a bunch of kids there. There's a bunch of other teachers. So now she's
sneezing on each other and shit.
Right, and the kids, they don't wear masks because try getting a kid to wear a mask. They don't have to because kids don't really transmit COVID.
Yeah.
But anyways, a bunch of other teachers and parents, whatever, that she could have got it from. So one of her coworkers didn't come into work on the Monday, and didn't call in or nothing. So everyone was kind of freaking out because she's like whatever the main person that starts the day and whatever takes care of the kids first hour of the day. There's like a bunch of chaos. They're trying to figure out where she is. They find out where this woman is. She's at home. She's like, "Oh, sorry, my husband's really sick, and he's been sick for the last 2 weeks, and he has COVID." And they're like, "You've been coming to work every day, and he's been sick for 2 weeks." They're like, "What the fuck?"
This is why we're not doing well. Like,
Yeah, they're like, "You didn't think to say anything that your
Yeah.
husband was sick in bed at home?"
Jesus Christ.
And she's like, "Yeah, so over the weekend we all got tested, like whatever, everyone in the household, including yourself." And she's like, "Everyone's test came back negative, so somehow he got it and managed to not pass it to anybody."
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, "Yeah, but we're still not going out for the next 2 weeks, whatever, until he's better."
She says at work.
Right?
It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's like, I'm like, oh shit, like I could have actually had it from that.
Well, we had a vendor at one of the farmers markets I do that was confirmed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was kind of weird, like after the fact. They're like, "Oh, do you know anybody that's whatever had it?" And whatever.
And
When they
you're
do the
like,
questionnaire, and I'm
"Shit."
like, "No, I have no idea." I'm like, "But my girlfriend just started working as a preschool teacher about 5 days ago, so I don't know if that's coincidental."
Well, and I mean, like, I see so many fucking people, delivery drivers, people in my store, like, fucking, I could have got it and gave it to you. Like, who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah, and I've been seeing like the same 4 people for the last 12 months, so
Yeah, fair. Like, well, I don't.
it would have had to have been from like a passerby at a
Yeah.
superstore, but that's like a very low.
Well, but
Very
yeah,
low
other
chance.
other than you and my business partner, I don't see fucking anyone except, but customers, right? Like, I see customers all the fucking time. So
Yeah, you need like prolonged exposure too, like not just like walking past somebody.
that's yeah. So they come in my store for 2 minutes and buy stuff and then leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skip driver sneezes.
Yeah. I watched the guy take off his mask to sneeze a while ago, and I remember taking a Snapchat of it, and I was like, "This is why we're dead. Like, this is."
This is why the world is fucked.
But
'Cause we're so stupid.
yeah, I just wanted to go back quick to when you were talking about the guy who switched jobs to being a crisis guy.
Yeah. Happier than a pig in shit.
Yeah, they I think a lot of people, like we probably agree. There's probably not much debate here that people can change at any time in their life to become whatever they want. You can go back to school when you're old. It's fucking doesn't matter.
Yeah, careers are dead. It's the age of
Yeah.
gigs.
Agreed. But I think a lot of people, they're like, well, no, this is what I do. I'm a, what did you say he was? Marketing.
Yeah, he's a marketing consultant.
I'm a marketing consultant. I'm 50. Why the fuck would I change now? Like, people get stuck in that rut.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What do you think why is that? People are just comfortable. Like, they have a mortgage, they have kids, they don't want to fucking fuck it up.
See,
Because it's different than, like, people starting, like, quitting their job to start a business, like, putting all in on a business. That's one thing. I don't blame people for not doing that. But, like, what people think they can't change careers.
I think about a financial advisor that I had at one point. I sat down with him for beers at one point, and I was at the time was working for a startup, whatever, super aggressive in my career, doing some fancy shit.
As you do.
Long story short, it's a job that sounds very impressive over a beer, and whatever. So I'm busting my ass at this new thing, and he's like, "Man, honestly, I don't know how you do it." He's like, "I'm not half as smart as you are." I'm like, "Dude, you're like," he's 23, 22 at the time, had just become the youngest CFP in Canada, whatever, got his a face on the front page of a magazine because of that. Was running as a financial planner, had a portfolio of like $12 million, had 2 rental properties, drove a nice BMW, beautiful girlfriend, well put together, shoots like 10 over par in golf. Like, this guy's like totally put together, and he's like telling me, he's like, I'm lucky.
I wish I could be you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm lucky I found the CFP thing. He's like, because legitimately, he's like, I'm not that smart. He's like, I have like an average, like painfully average IQ. He's like, I think my IQ is like 89. And and he's like, if I didn't find this, he's like, I'd probably be fucked. Like, I wouldn't have anything. So I think a lot of people fall into that category where it's like, this is the one thing that they've found that they can do.
Yeah.
And can't really like pivot out of it if they tried.
See, my IQ is 38. They've said they don't know how I'm alive. I'm so dumb.
Just enough brain cells to breathe.
To breathe, yeah. And even then, I have to think about it. No, I don't care about my IQ. I would never do a test. I really don't care. I'm not very smart, but I think...
Yeah, you're not good at most things.
No, but I was gonna say the things I do well, but that's not even true.
No, it's not.
No,
We tried to get you to paint some trim the other day, and you fucked it up.
Okay, I painted the ceiling good though.
That's true, actually. That's true.
But it's just, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think my secret to success is my unapologetically, like, I'm just so unapologetically stupid that I have no other like, I'm like, oh, of course it'll work. And you're like, Willows, that's dumb. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I just make it work because, like, I'm so dumb that consequence doesn't even, like, phase me because I think it'll just work out because I'm so disillusioned by my own face. I couldn't even get through that fucking sentence.
Yeah, he's like, where was I going?
Where was I? I don't know, man.
I think simplicity is more. I've actually this actually dovetails into something that I've been really noodling last couple days. That's a fun word. No, not like that.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the fact that, or about the saying that I used to hear all the time, which is like A students work for C students and B students work for the government.
Yeah, it's a book by Robert Kiyosaki.
Right, yeah, that guy never said anything stupid. So...
No comment.
I was thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? Also the Unabomber. Think about the Unabomber.
Okay, I would love to I would love to noodle the Unabomber.
So, incredibly intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Gets really fucked up when he goes to college too young, gets super...
radicalized.
He gets radicalized, and he gets, like, straight up, like, psychologically abused by the FBI.
Because he was, like, he wanted everyone to renounce their technology, right? That was the...
Well, he had some, like, opinions about it.
I thought that was his list of demands. He's like, I'm going to mail bombs until you turn off all your computers.
He got there, but before that, like, he was... when he was young, he had, like, some ideas about, like, technology controls us, not the other way around, was his kind of thesis, yeah, which was like totally valid, and he was very rational about it. And then this one professor like would listen to him and spend a lot of time with him, and basically I don't know, you just watched the Unabomber special on Netflix. It really explains it a lot better, but they basically try to unprogram him through humiliation and like electroshock therapy, and it
made it worse.
They fucked him up real good. So bad.
So what you're saying is the government created the Unabomber.
Yeah, 100%.
Just like they created
everyone
9/11.
Yeah.
And the Matrix. What is it? The Nebuchadnezzar? What are those? What is that? Whatever. Continue.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Matrix with John Wick and Fishman.
Okay, I thought you were actually going somewhere for a second. I'm like listening intently. I should just ignore you.
What?
So, super intelligent people like the Unabomber guy, like he has incredible capacity to do all these things, but because of his intelligence, just becomes like so tormented that he's just useless to society and just becomes like a hermit in the woods. Like that's an extreme, but then there's like so many levels of that where you have people that are just incredibly intelligent doing mundane jobs because they literally just they big brain way too deeply into things. Like I can't become a lawyer because I can't I can't uphold the law because I don't believe in the principles of the law or how the law was created in the first. Like that's who's not becoming lawyers. Who is becoming lawyers is the people who are just dumb enough to think that the law is just.
Yeah.
And die trying to enforce it. Like,
well, that's why
the smartest people never end up in these jobs. They end
that's
up in
what
like
they
the
say.
mundane
It's
shit.
like, why are all the politicians corrupt and evil? It's like because people smart enough and moral enough
don't get that far.
Don't get that far or don't want to get that far.
Right.
Right. So, What's the solution then?
You think there's a solution?
Well, no,
I don't think there is.
No, I agree with you. I'm just asking.
I don't think there is a solution.
So, Ted Kaczynski was so tormented, or because he was so smart, so he wasn't able to accomplish anything.
Well, I mean, he did. We're talking about him right now, so.
So I'm the exact opposite. I'm so dumb, I accomplish everything.
Essentially, that's where I was going, yeah.
Wow. This is honestly, you said it last episode, this is therapy. Why do I pay my therapist $100 an hour when I can just have you call me a fucking idiot to my face
Exactly.
and upload it for people to listen to?
Absolutely. I was thinking about this because I'm like, how the fuck did I end up as a tile installer?
Well, because your name is Tyler.
I guess so. But I also, like, I am smart enough to do...
You're smarter than me, 100%, no question.
I'm smart enough to do very many jobs out there. Like, most of the jobs.
You've worked...
I don't think I could be a doctor just because I think bodies are kind of gross. But
I like bodies in and around.
I could, if I chose a path and dedicated my life to it, and I studied and I went to school and whatever, like, I could probably take just about any path. And because of that, I get really fucked up and I can't choose any of them, because when you have all the options, you can't choose.
That's an interesting point. If you're only good at one thing, you do that one thing.
Right.
But if you're good at everything, what do? You can't do everything.
You do the one thing that doesn't make you crazy.
Yeah, the thing that makes you want to kill yourself the least.
Yeah, like, for me, I like what I do because it's complicated, it's cerebral, but, like, not so much. Like, you can't really debate the validity and the value and, like, what I do, because it's like, it's real, it's tactile.
Because you can look at it and be like, oh, this is aesthetically pleasing, therefore I did a good job.
Yeah, and you can't tell me that this isn't a good way to do this, because it objectively is.
Because it looks good. Fuck you.
Right. Yeah. It's functional. It works super good. It lasted 10 years. Whatever. Like, there are concrete objectives, which I think someone like me is very, very drawn to. I hate marketing. I hate sales for that reason.
See, I love marketing and sales for that reason, because I can bullshit everybody.
Yeah. Like,
you have a very Mennonite stoicism to you, where it's you're very focused on your tasks, whereas I do all my tasks at 25% accuracy.
Yeah, and I'm like 100% all the time, even if it's like sweeping the floor.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Like, since I've known you, you've worked for many startups. Pretty much exclusively startups.
Exclusively startups, as long as I've known you, yeah.
Yeah, you've worked for like 4 or 5 startups, depending on how you count people, before you started your business. And they were in such different industries.
Yeah.
So different. And your job was, I mean, in a startup, your job's always kind of the same. Expand the fucking company.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But your job was very different in each position, right?
Yeah, what I was doing was different. Fundamentally, it was kind of the same, which try explaining that to my mother.
Fair. But I think...
How is selling franchises the same as being a property manager? It's like, there was a lot of similarities.
Well, just kind of like what I said. Like, your fucking job in a startup, make the business grow big.
Yeah, you do emails 6 hours a day. You create things, you brainstorm, you throw shit against the wall, you see what sticks. Like,
the first 100 employees, I would say, at a company, no matter what company, you're doing more or less the same thing. Obviously not, but on a cosmic level, right?
In spirit,
you're doing pretty much the same thing. You're not working in these segmented departments, like
whether you're selling burgers or furnaces, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah. So, I don't know what the point was. I guess be dumber.
Well, we were talking about like how business owners are going to bounce back post-COVID.
Right, yeah.
And I think there's just some people that are just going to just fucking hurt, because think about boomers, and they're all the shit they have to be sad about, which is, I mean,
Nothing.
their privilege melting away.
Oh, I had to
because
sell
everything
my
was
third
so
home.
easy.
Just
Oh,
kidding. We hate boomers on this podcast.
Oh, no.
The official podcast of hating boomers.
Well, you ripped on boomers last episode, didn't
I've
you?
never ripped on boomers in my life.
Oh yeah. Anyways,
This, by the way, boomer is a mindset.
boomers.
We know old people that are not boomers, and we know
boomers that are not
boomers that are not boomers.
To be clear.
To be clear.
I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are just going to get pushed aside and washed out.
They're
going to be mad about it. And then we're going to have a really big insurrection.
There's a Grant Cardone is a real estate investor and like public speaker, author. And he said something like he was talking about, I think, the 2008 recession.
Probably.
And he was saying
Because
like
he got really rich post that.
Yeah, but he was talking about that and he was like, yeah, you know, there was a ton of people that were making, you know, $100,000 a month in real estate, and then the 2008 crash happened. Now they're back to managing Pizza Hut. Right. And he said, like, you know, truth be told, they didn't actually deserve that $100,000 a month.
Right. They got wiped out. They were being propped up.
Yeah, because
I super believe in that too, which I think kind of like ties back to your whole like they were betting on the farmers market to do well for their living.
Because like the line that I'm getting at is he says, see if I can quote this exactly, like the better sports analogy, you know how I'm great at those, the better player wants a wet field.
Yeah.
Like the better,
yeah.
Better
that's a good way to put it.
In instability, like in a situation like COVID or the 2008 recession, the people who are good at the sport, like which is in this case investing or whatever, are gonna win, are gonna survive, are gonna get through it because it doesn't fucking matter what the environment is, they're the better player, right? Like,
so fun update. I'm gonna vaguely refer to somebody we both know. Our friend that does rentals.
Yep.
Keep in mind this is for the listeners, event rentals exclusively for large public gatherings.
Yep.
Weddings, etc. He used to make like 30% of his annual revenue on Canada Day.
Just on one day, July 1st, he made 30% of his fucking yearly revenue. Yeah. Or more.
So that guy
Yep.
had his best year ever.
Wow. Why?
He didn't explain.
Yeah, he was telling me.
I spoke to him in May, and he was like, he's like, yeah, he's like, he was at a trade show in Europe when the news of like the whatever flights getting canceled and lockdown starting.
Yeah.
He literally had an anxiety attack, broke down, started crying, and like couldn't get out of his hotel bed for like a day. Like he just panicked because he had so much riding on, like he had so much planned for the next year. He had all his money invested, like had everything lined up for the perfect year, and then just like boom, came crashing down in an instant, and it just broke him.
But he's a great entrepreneur,
right? And then he bounced back like 36 hours later.
Yeah.
Started like trying shit, and I guess by summer he had it figured out.
Well, I know
and from summer till December, he managed to have his best year ever.
Well, I know at the beginning of the pandemic, he was renting hand washing stations to grocery stores. He was making a ton of money doing that.
I think where he made his money was renting out commercial tents.
No, isn't he doing
tents, tables,
porta potties?
Yeah, tents, table. He bought a porta potty company.
Yeah.
He owns like 80% of the portable toilet facilities within like a 4-hour drive of where he is.
Let's not suck his dick too much, but we do respect him.
We do. He's also renting like large tents to businesses who have like who couldn't expand their lunchrooms. For example, think like what's that potato company?
McCain's?
McCain's giant factory.
Yeah.
They're still going full swing.
Yeah, because they have to.
Maybe even more so because grocery store sales are higher.
Yeah.
They got to keep going.
Grocery store sales are higher because people aren't eating out as much?
Yeah. Anytime there's a financial crisis, grocery sales always pop.
And people fucking stockpile as well.
But yeah, they couldn't expand their lunchroom because they have the physical confines of their building.
So they got a big tent.
They get a big tent, they heat it, and they send all their employees outside
This is real. You're not hypothetically talking.
This is actually where he's like making
cool.
a shitload of his revenue.
That's cool.
So yeah, I mean.
So I guess your point is he fucking pivoted during the.
He figured it out. Like he had his best year ever. Oh, and he bought a bunch of real estate assets personally. Like
so, I guess like
he out of anyone that could have just crumbled and actually failed and fell down, it should have been him.
My question is, there's obviously we could argue what the different kinds are, but there's different kinds of entrepreneurs, right? There's entrepreneurs that are maybe less inclined to be on. Like there's entrepreneurs that are one disaster from having a mental breakdown and losing everything, right?
Yeah.
Do we? Because obviously I applaud anyone for being any kind of entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like to have empathy for people. But in business, at a certain point, it's like, well, don't fucking get into business if you're not ready for this kind of shit, right? Like, but
yeah,
do we feel bad for people? Like, should we feel bad for people that started a business and now are fucked by COVID? Like, I have sympathy for people, but it's like at the same time, this isn't ridiculous. Like, you know what it was 50 years, 80 years ago, 40 years, 80 years ago? Like, a bunch of people had a bunch of fucking businesses, and then Germans started invading them. Like, you know how many fucking factories, like, fucking Canadian government walks in and be like, nah, you're making plane parts now.
Yeah,
like,
and no, you're not. Your wife is. You're going.
You're
across
going to
the
war.
pond.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, this pandemic is just one more thing. Every couple decades, something drastic happens. If you're not planning for that as an entrepreneur,
it's not even planning for it. Like I think anybody that I know that's been thriving in it, it's not about planning. It's just your ability to handle shit.
Can you teach that?
No, it can be learned.
Because like,
I don't think it can be taught.
Because it's not somebody's fault that they can't pivot, is it?
Yeah, like one of the best descriptions I've heard of like qualifications for an entrepreneur is like, how much shit can you eat and still smile? Right?
Yeah, if you're watching the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/votewillows, you can see that I was smiling comically large.
Yeah, that's my shit-eating grin.
That's my every podcast I do try to do a shout out for the video. So I need more subscribers.
Also,
I make videos that aren't this podcast as well. Check them out. I'll cut that out.
I'm gonna say,
but I don't know. It's like I like to have, you know, I have sympathy for people that lose their jobs because of COVID. I have sympathy
for people.
Yeah, but there's. So, okay, here's what I'll compare it to. Like, I have a hot take. I've said it on this podcast before, but I'm like, people know that I'm very big proponent of the non-aggression principle. Like, don't hurt someone unless they hurt you, right? Which is like the cornerstone of most anarchism and libertarianism is the non-aggression principle, the NAP. And my hot take is that when you become like a criminal, you've kind of consented to be killed.
Right.
Like you've entered a business that you know is dangerous. And by getting in that business, you've consented, like you've signed, you know, a proverbial contract that says, I might die, I'm consenting, I accept these risks. Right?
Like in Billions, where Bobby's like considering whether or not they need to like kill this guy, and his like security advisor's like, don't cross that line, because if you cross that line, that line will be crossed against you.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And here's what I'm thinking. Argue with me. When you start a business, you are consenting to be put out of fucking business by a global pandemic.
I think yes, because if you're gonna start a business, you're consenting to the possibility that you're gonna lose it all.
At which point I don't fucking feel bad for you, because you knew the fucking risks. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's like I don't feel bad for a fucking boxer that dies or gets. Well, I mean, I guess there's a difference between having, I guess, sympathy and then feeling bad. I don't know. Like there's a difference there. I think there's a difference between like I can feel bad without like
You can feel bad for a person, but it's not like they were like you got wronged by the universe bad.
like you signed up for this. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Like should have picked a different career, butto.
Yeah, it's like a kid that makes a really big and kind of shitty jump in his yard, and then jumps it with his bike and breaks his arm. You're
Oh
like,
yeah, no, and
you feel bad for him, but you also are like, yeah,
well,
well.
yeah, you're like, hey, don't fuck around. You're gonna hurt yourself, and then they hurt themselves. Like, yeah, that's happening all the time. Kids running around at a wedding, and you're like, stop running around. You're gonna fucking fall and kill yourself, and then they fall and hurt themselves, and they're crying. And you're like, well, I fucking told you. Like,
Yeah, you help them. You like whatever, wipe up the blood and
Yeah,
bring them to the ER, but you're not like heartbroken.
yeah, because dude, you signed up for this. Like, it's like last time we did a bank heist and I killed a cop. I'm like, well, that's your job, man. You signed up for it.
Yeah, that was funny.
Just kidding. I've been playing Payday 2, where you like rob banks and shit. If you want to play some co-op with me, vote Willows on Steam. Give me an ad. We'll play some.
Sounds like fun.
But I've never killed a police officer in my life.
Never been convicted of killing.
I've never been convicted of a crime in my life. I think I've told that story on here before, where I got asked by a cop. I got pulled over for a traffic stop, and the cop asked me if I've ever been arrested before, and I said, "No, I've never been convicted of a crime." Silence. That's not what I asked you, sir.
And fucking Willows the contrarian is like, but just because it's funny, I am gonna risk getting arrested right now.
For the record, I've never been arrested. Arrest records are public, right? I think so. Someone could look that
you
up
could
if they wanted to.
like arrest, yes. Like being detained, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
so I have been detained multiple times.
Yeah, I don't think that's on your record because that's
No, they don't take any.
Yeah,
It might be in the police record.
maybe.
I think so. Because okay, well, I know for a fact
I guess because they have to write reports and shit about what they did.
I know for a fact at the border they write everything down.
Yeah.
Because I get detained every time we go to the border. Long story. It wasn't even my fault. It was someone in the car who was trying to smuggle something over the border.
Oops.
It wasn't anything illegal. It was like tires they didn't want to pay duties on, and they're like, stop that. And now I get searched every single. That was like when I was 16. Now I get searched every time I stop.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Seeing if you got any stickers on your tires on your car.
Well, we specifically, like, me and Zach go in the same car if we're going on a trip with like a bunch of people, just so we both get stopped at the same time, so we don't slow the other people down. Because
we're getting detained.
Yeah, no, because if we split up, then both of us are.
Yeah.
Here's a good story. My business partner. So we used to drive. So we're in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, right now, and have been residing here for a while. And we're about an hour off the U.S. border. About that, going at a good pace. Maybe an hour and 45 from the border. Well, yeah, because we're an hour and a half from fucking Borden.
Border's closer.
Because you don't go off to the side.
Yeah, it's just straight.
Okay.
I think it's like 60 minutes.
We're like an hour off the U.S. border right now, and then we're another hour and a bit from North Dakota, or from Grand Forks, North Dakota.
I'm gonna say North Dakota is immediately when you cross the
Yes.
border.
There's
like a no man's. There's like a DNZ.
Yes, the
Or
capital
DMZ.
of North Dakota, Grand Forks is about another hour south. So my business partner and I, when we were like 16, 17, we used to just be like, hey, I'm bored. It'd be like 2 a.m. We're like, oh, I'm bored. It's like, you hungry? Yeah, kind of. Want to go to IHOP? And we would drive from Winnipeg to Grand Forks to go to IHOP to get pancakes at like 4 a.m.
To be fair, I did this sometimes from my hometown Winkler into Winnipeg for like Starbucks.
Which is about the same distance.
Yeah,
so.
it's about the same. It's pretty funny.
But so this one, and we used to do this all the time. We used to like, we had nothing to do, right? We were just fucking around. And this one time, we're coming back into Canada. So this is a Canadian enforcer that's talking to us, right? Where's an American one?
When you're coming back, it's Canadian.
Okay, so it's a Canadian cop that's talking to us, and it's 5 a.m. We're coming back, and they go, roll down the window, whatever. Give them the passports, and they're like, "Okay, how long were you in the States for?" And we're like, about 5 hours. He's like, just looks at us. What was your purpose in the States? We're like, pleasure. He's like, what do you mean? We're like, oh, we went to IHOP. And he's like, you drove 4 hours round trip. And he's talking like this, like long pauses. At 4 a.m. on a Tuesday for pancakes. And Zach goes, I like pancakes. Guy goes, are you on any medication, sir? Zach goes,
Oh no.
No. Pull it in bay one.
Don't pause, Zach.
They rip up the car.
No.
Yeah, well, because they probably assume we're going over the border to pick something up on the other side of the border, hide it in the car, and go. Right? That's what they think. No, we were just going to fucking IHOP. We didn't bring anything back. Like, yeah. But yeah, I'm on a list, so it's fine.
It's fine. Everyone spends their entire life trying to get on the list, so
VIP, baby.
That's the list you're talking about.
Here comes the money.
At least you're not on the list where they like run your plate as you're approaching the border and like detain you before you even get to the booth.
Well, no, I drive the corporation's car for that reason.
Just like
before I snitch on myself.
You're about to pull up to the booth and then some guy comes out with like a flare and is like off to the side. You're like, fuck, not again.
And I pull like over, like within within eyesight. I start dumping boxes out of the car. No, you know they have at the land border here. They have mics that can pick you up like a half mile away.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah, they can hear you talking like in your car. They have these. They're I forget what they're called, but when you point them at glass, they like get the vibration of the glass, and they can hear you talking.
That's insane.
So blast your music. You ever seen like a mafia movie? They sit in the car and they blast the music to talk.
Yeah.
That's why is those mics.
Yeah.
You see them? They look like ray guns. They like have the big dish.
Yeah.
The technology exists, and we have them.
I feel like they're not using it constantly though.
Probably not. Maybe when they suspect something or something.
Like that'd be exhausting to just listen to shitty ass conversations.
But
all
yeah,
day.
the same way Walmart doesn't watch their cameras 100% of the time. Like, it is what it is. You have security. If you need to use it, you use it. But
I was gonna say, like, there's definitely some conversations we had when crossing over the border. If they would have heard what we were saying when we're approaching it, they would have asked us some.
We've been in the
questions.
airport talking about bombs and shit. No, we were talking. We were in the airport talking about how you don't talk about bombs in the airport.
We're having discussion in the security check.
Like, oh yeah, people get tackled because they say bomb and shit. Like we're in an airport. Like, or it's like every time in the air, I have a pocket knife on my keys on my keychain.
Yeah.
That I just use for fucking like opening packages and shit. Like I use it twice a day at least. Like it's really useful and I have it on my keys for that reason. Every single fucking time at the airport they take it. Every single time I tell them it's under the legal limit I can have on a plane. Put it up to your fucking thing. And when we were going to Mexico, you were with me. The person, I don't want to be that guy, but they didn't speak English very well. Like in Canada, like they were an immigrant, whatever, which is fine, but they were being a dick. And they were basically like, they were showing me this knife that I had. He opened it, waving at my face. He's like showing it to me. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like staying calm. And I'm like, yeah, it's under the limit. And he's like, no. He's like, you can't. And I'm like, no, it's under the limit. Like, I can take it. He's like, no. I'm like, no, it's under the limit. Like, calls over a manager. Manager takes it, looks at me. I'm like, it's under the limit. He takes it. They have like this little sticker with like blade lengths on it that shows exactly like whatever. Puts it there. Sees it's under the limit, looks at the employee, says, it's under the limit. Employee looks at me, it's under the limit. I said, yeah, you think?
Didn't I got held up way longer at that one, didn't I?
Because of your laptop or something? No, on the way back in, they searched your entire bag.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. My shit got swabbed. I'm like, I had drugs in there not very long ago.
And you had, I can edit this out if you want, but I lent you handcuffs for like Valentine's.
Oh
Day.
yeah, those were in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went
Because
I
was
I had like fuzzy leather band handcuffs
Yeah.
in my backpack.
Because I was
and
single.
she's going through it pocket by pocket, like
And she
pulling
pulled
stuff
them out.
out.
Yeah.
And she opened it, she like pulled it halfway out,
Yeah.
looked at me, put it back in.
Yeah. Because
I'm just like, I got a big shit-eating grin on my face. I'm like,
I saw that on my memories on Valentine's Day. It was like a zoomed in picture of my face. I'm like, so Tyler asked to borrow my handcuffs. I'm like, number one, he assumed that I had them, that I like owned them. Number two, he assumed that I didn't have a girl to use them with on Valentine's Day. I'm like, he's correct on both, but like I'm still pissed. So yeah, I lend them.
I took him through the fucking
I lend them.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I lend them to him for fucking Valentine's Day, and then we went to Mexico like not even a week later. So they're in
in my carry-on.
They're in your fucking backpack, and I guess we had them with us the entire time in Mexico.
Yeah,
and you didn't realize, and then we came back, and that's when she fucking took them out.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, fuck it, my buddy.
She did. To be fair, she like did not make any like her facial expression. Like she did not even react.
I'm sure they see fucking
so many giant dildos.
You know, in Fight Club where they lose his luggage and the guy's like, he says throwers at like for baggage handlers, like, yeah, throwers if they see something vibrating. They gotta, because he's like, was it ticking? He's like, no, actually, modern bombs don't tick, so throwers look for things that are vibrating. He's like, 9 out of 10 times it's an electric razor, but every so often, he's like leans in, it's a dildo. Of course, we have to use the a dildo, never your dildo. And then Edward Norton's like, I don't own a dildo. like, what are you doing? But yeah, fucking. My buddy, I won't rat him out, but he crossed the U.S. border with an ounce of weed by accident.
I mean, casually, just
well, no, because
like good Canadian shit.
Because marijuana is legal here, and it's very illegal in the States still, or some states. But he went to a state where it was illegal, and he like opened his backpack to get something, and there's like, fucking weed falls out, and he's like, "Did I fucking have this on me the entire time?" It's a complete accident, but like that's a felony charge in fucking America. Like,
oh, that reminds me. On my last trip to Cleveland, which was an extended trip, I flew Delta, I believe.
Yeah, that was the longest I never saw you.
Right. So I went through international, whatever, both ways, TSA on the way back. I had a 9-inch blade on me.
9-inch. Oh, okay. 9-inch electric razor.
Yeah.
Throwback.
No, like it was a 9-inch flip out blade. That's like, it's almost on the edge of double side. Like it's like almost illegal to own.
Like in your carry-on.
On my that I took on the plane.
And nothing
like it was
happened?
under my seat.
And nothing happened.
No.
I love it. Well, there was
like, like once it flips out, it's like 16 inches.
They did a the TSA in America. I think it was a joint like TSA FBI thing, where they took undercover agents, bought them tickets and everything, and then had them go on try to get on planes with guns, like real guns, knives, drugs, different shit. They caught like 10% of them that went through.
Wow.
Because they had to publish this because it was like a study.
Yeah.
Right. And they caught like almost nobody. Like they were fucking had loaded weapons in their fucking pockets, and like they just got through.
Oops.
Like, yeah.
I mean, you can 3D print plastic guns.
No, I think they just had guns. Like it's not.
How do you get through a metal detector?
Dude, the security is not as. It's all security theater after 9/11.
I guess that's fair.
It's not as sophisticated as you like to think
it's like the wand is like it's just a noisemaker with a beeper on it. Like you got like a button.
Well, they always say like, you ever look in some groceries? No, maybe not grocery stores, but like clothing stores.
Mm-hmm.
The detectors they have that go off if you take a tag through,
yeah.
Right? Because they put security tags on. I've seen some of them that have big signs that say, like, this is a metal detector, this will go off, like, and I'm like, no, it won't. Like, I steal stuff just to test it. Like, I'm like, no, like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
How does it, because I remember, like, being younger, like being a teenager, and like friends would be like, "Oh, don't steal from that store. They have a detector that detects everything." I'm like, how? How do you think it detects a piece of clothing, but doesn't go off when you walk through with your clothing? It's like if it doesn't have one of those fucking black tags on it, like, it's not going off.
And even when they do have those, like,
Half the time they go off for no reason, and then the employee's like, "Oh, you're good, just go." Like, or you see those.
Or pro tip, you just go to the self checkout because the deck actually has like the deactivating whatever shit in there, so you can't put your phone or your credit card or whatever on that table as you're like swiping your shit through.
Yeah.
So if you go there, you like start a transaction, you like swipe all your shit over,
And then like
change
cancel
your
it.
mind, go back around, whatever puts you in your pocket,
It's
go
been
through
deactivated.
the cashier.
Oh, that's interesting.
You can like pocket some stuff.
Here's a statement from our lawyer on screen right now.
I've never done this.
Alcohol Beyond This Point Ltd. does not condone.
But no, a good friend of mine is like a loss prevention officer.
Okay, yeah.
And like sits behind the camera and like watches.
I bet the stuff they see would be fucking fascinating. Like,
Yeah. Actually, one of our mutual friends, their father is like the loss prevention guy for like Cabela's.
Yeah.
And there's like a guy that just comes because they don't like physically try to stop you, right? For most times, because I mean they're minimum wage. What the fuck are they gonna do?
They're not Montarzid.
Right. So this guy would run in at the entrance door, like would grab like whatever was on the display by the entrance and like just like have his pickup truck running beside the front door. You just run in, grab the shit, fucking throw it in the back of his truck.
Well, that's what they used to do at the liquor stores here.
Yeah. So this guy had done it more than once, and this guy was ex-military, and he was authorized to use force to stop people from stealing.
This loss prevention guy.
Yeah, because he was like an actual like peace officer or retired police officer or whatever.
I mean, you can only use reasonable force to detain them.
Right. So it was like this guy had stole from them multiple times. So he sees the truck pull up. He's like, "Oh, not this guy again." Leaves his office, fucking runs to the front door. Guy's trying to steal the thing, tackles him, and like the guy would literally steal like I forget what it was, like bags of salt, like for salting your like just dumb shit.
That'd be me.
And then he would like post it on like Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace. He would like get a buyer. He'd go steal it. And then like
then
he would like meet up with him like down the road and like give it to him.
So wait, so he was drop shipping.
Yeah, he was drop shipping but stealing.
Stonks, number one.
That was that was really that guy's probably doing great.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I bet he's pivoted, I bet.
Now he just like does chargebacks instead of shoplifting.
I was reading about citizens arrests. You can do it as a business owner on your property, for your property, or if you're an agent of a business owner, so like an employee.
Interesting.
Loss production. Because we had this epidemic, not a pandemic. We had an epidemic of liquor store thefts in Manitoba.
Sure did.
Because we have government-run liquor stores, and one day it became apparent that the security guards were told not to touch you if you tried to steal liquor. So people would come in, literally fill backpacks with alcohol just off the shelf and just walk out.
Well,
right in front of people.
Didn't they pass like a mandate to say like that they wouldn't?
Then what happened was and every so often some employee would get a little bit feisty, try to stop them. They'd break bottles, whatever. One girl got hurt very, very badly to now where she has permanent seizures because she got thrown against the concrete, like against the ground, and went into a coma or whatever, like got very seriously assaulted. And it took that to make them do anything because the government doesn't give a shit about people. They just give a shit about their bottom line. But it took that because that was terrible optics. Now they have you can't get into the store without presenting your ID first. Like you can't. Yeah. They have an airlock that's like a security door that you get buzzed in. So now it's almost 100% of the thefts are down. Like they have not been stolen from really.
Yeah, the only way you can really steal now is you actually
shoplifting.
Have to, you have to like
put something in your pocket.
We have to like run in the exit door.
Yeah, but you can't. But
people have done that.
The problem is though, as soon as that security guy buzzes it, he can lock both those doors, and you're just trapped.
Not the exit doors.
Yeah, they absolutely can.
No, they can't. 'Cause
They
fire exit?
Dude, I know this. Like, they absolutely
You
can.
can lock the exit doors?
I'm like 100% sure. Yeah.
How is that safe?
Does it need to be safe? I'm like
Yes.
100%. Well, yeah, I don't know.
That would absolutely violate fire code. You cannot lock exit doors. You cannot lock people into stores. They can lock you out.
Okay.
But if they but the thing is, you can't open the exit door from the outside, so they can wait until someone leaves, and then they can sprint
Maybe
in
you're right.
before
Maybe
the door
okay.
closes.
Maybe I'm thinking the entrance. Yeah, the way in. It's not. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So I've heard that's been done, but you have to be quick, literally, because you have to beat the automatic doors from closing. So you have to sprint in, grab shit close to the till, and run back out before the security guard gets around to stop you.
Yeah. So anyway,
and the security guard's not he's 15 feet away.
There was a video of one of these brazen thefts, and the security guard wasn't doing anything because they're told not to do anything. But a customer grabbed this fucking person stealing. Grabbed them by the fucking arm. They turn around and be like, what the fuck? Grab them by the neck and threw them to the fucking ground. There's this Twitter video of it. And then be like, yeah, call the fucking cops. I just fucking knocked them out. And people were like, oh yeah, we should be doing this more. Let's get a task force together to fucking be vigilante, and then.
Okay.
Well, no, and then I respond to it. Don't do that. You're gonna get in fucking shit. Not that I respect the law, but just don't do that, right? In government buildings.
Inevitably, you're going to take it too far.
And then, but then they're like, no, citizen's arrest. So I looked deep into it. I read the exact law. You have to be an employee. You have to be authorized by the corporation that the property is being stolen from to be able to do a citizen's arrest. And you are allowed to use, quote, reasonable force to detain them, only to detain them. You have to call the cops immediately. And when the police arrive, you have to immediately stop touching them and not be involved anymore. Right.
And does this not apply to private property, private citizens at all? Or can you do the same when someone's on your property?
Maybe if I'm not 100% sure. I want to say no. We do not really have property rights in Canada.
Not in the same way, no.
Not the same way that the States does.
No. Which is, I think, kind of good. You don't have to be fucking afraid.
I am split on this.
Yeah.
Because I, as a libertarian leaning person, I don't like to identify myself as a libertarian because I'm not really.
And there's a lot of shitty libertarians out there that people associate that with.
I don't like to. I'm apolitical. I don't think you should be stealing from people's houses, and I think I should be able to defend my property.
I agree.
Fuck off. But why do I get to say you deserve to be dead for theft?
Right.
Why is that my right to say I am going to kill you for stealing from me?
That's kind of what I mean. In some states, if you're some stupid teenager ripping around on some farmer's field on a 4-wheeler and he starts shooting at you with a shotgun, that's not that's not an equal arm of justice. I tore up some corn so you kill me.
Yeah, but that would be completely legal in some states.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of fucking scary.
There's a reason. Crazy. you can have your opinions on the justice system, but at the end of the day, it at least tries to be more or less fair. There's a
proportional
punishment. You're not going to execute somebody for trespassing, right?
Yeah, which is why I have a slightly not legal thing that I can hit people with just in my room. If someone breaks in, I would absolutely prefer to have a non-lethal weapon around, and that's what this is. It's an absolutely non-lethal thing.
Yeah, so
I would rather go that route to defend myself.
Well, and then fucking, you see, England is fucked with their laws, right?
Yeah, that's another extreme.
I've talked about this a few times. Where there's people getting arrested for having butter knives. There's fucking, there was a contractor got arrested for having an X-Acto knife because they were
I walk into so many stores with a giant X-Acto knife.
England's
I have an oversized one.
This guy got a €300 or 300-pound fine for having trash in his car. Because he didn't have a license for hauling garbage.
Amazing.
No, England's fucked, but they
They have a very small patch of dirt, and they're trying to keep it straight.
They have a guy. Some guy was burglarizing a house, fucking broke his foot escaping, sued because the level was underground, and won because it was like a dangerous.
Yeah. I've also heard of a guy who was like burgling a house. He fell through a skylight, like skewered himself on a knife that was like in a unsafe position on the kitchen island, like in a block, whatever, sticking upwards, skewered himself.
Yeah.
And yeah, successfully sued the homeowner for having a knife on their kitchen island in a knife block.
Because, like, I always say, like, because, like, you can't booby trap your house, right? That's illegal.
It was unintentionally booby trapped.
Yeah, okay, but I can't booby trap my house. I'm like, okay, why not? Fuck off. It's my house. If I want to have a fucking dangerous ass house,
I was gonna say
it's my prerogative. Fuck you.
You gotta go Home Alone style with non-lethal booby traps.
Yeah. Okay, except 90% of those things in Home Alone would have fucking murdered Joe Pesci.
That's fair. Like a lot of that ice that could have been a lethal head injury.
Marv gets fucking electrocuted. You can see his skeleton for a second. Like, I'm pretty sure
those icy stairs. Yeah, that's he
threw like a bowling ball at his head from 2 stories up. Like, that's not okay. Like, you can't survive that. Like, whatever.
Lots of tetanus.
It's fine.
3rd-degree burns, electrocution, head injuries.
Shout out Macaulay Culkin.
Good job, buddy.
He does a lot of collabs with like YouTubers now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Like Red Letter Media, they do movie reviews and stuff. He's on there all the time. He was on an episode of Angry Video Game Nerd where they played like Home Alone games. Yeah, he got completely clean. Like, he's like sober and clean because like child stars, you know.
Yeah.
But he's looking healthy. He's looking good. He's like, he does a bunch of. I don't want just Google Macaulay Culkin, but I think Bunny Ears or something like that. He has a charity where he does stuff.
You think he's gonna be in another major film?
I think he's retired. He doesn't want to do it.
He's like, fuck it.
I was saying he should make a Home Alone because they had a Home Alone 4 or something with like none of the same cast.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be Kevin, but it's like a different actor, and it was terrible. And they watched it on a Red Letter Media Best of the Worst episode with Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah. And but I was saying, like, I was watching that episode and I was like, man, he should fucking come back and make a remake. Like, where he plays fucking Kevin, but he's like a heroin addict. Like, you know, like, how funny would that be?
He's the guy that's trying to break into the house for some coke money.
Yeah, like, no, but like, and okay, like you're a Warner Brothers executive, right?
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin. It's like, sir, we have Macaulay Culkin on line 1. He wants to do a Home Alone remake. They're like, oh fuck yeah, bud.
I'll listen this.
And they're like, okay, I will do it. But you have to give me 100% creative control. Like, you have to let me do whatever I want. Like, would they go for it? I think they might.
I think his ears were burning.
That's weird. Somebody we were talking about earlier in the podcast just texted Tyler.
Like, roughly in the period of time that we were talking about him.
Yeah, that's weird. Ears are burning.
Oop.
Oop. Oop. Oof. Ouch. I think I drank bone hurting juice. Oof. Ouch. My bones.
Honestly, my wrist hurts a lot. So
I have a few jerking off jokes, but I'm just gonna breeze past them.
So my physical conditioning for my job was pretty tough. Whatever, first 2-3 months. I've gotten really used to it. Like, I can work again. Many jokes to be made. I can work like on my knees. Doing floor work.
I capped out every piece of audio. I just see it on my. It's just a bar.
I like I don't get sore knees. I don't get a sore back. Like arms, wrists, shoulder, neck, whatever. Like, I don't get any pain from my job anymore. Like, I'm in like really good shape.
Ooh. But
my wrist is killing me because I went too hard doing yoga.
Love it.
So fuck me. Now my wrist hurts, and now it's affecting me at work.
Well, I saw some girl on Twitter.
Really sucks.
I saw some girl on Twitter. She's like, yeah, I work out like 5 days a week, and I'm in like really good shape, whatever. And it's like, tell me why I just threw my back out switching positions in bed. Like,
right?
It's like I always praise the human body. You can probably go back and find clips of me praising I think like the human body is to me one of the coolest, like the brain and muscles and like everything is just like exact for peak performance. You know what I mean? Like
When you mention that, I just think about that viral video of a guy who's like in a molten metal plant, and he's like slaps his hand through like the molten metal.
oh yeah, I've seen that
And
before.
he's just like, "Hey, look, my hand's fine." Or slaps the molten metal. He's like, "Look, no damage, no damage." Like whenever people like the wonders of the human body, that clip
Okay.
pops into my brain. I'm like, yeah, like what other animal in the world is like, it'd be funny?
Putting my hand through lava.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one.
But
Never.
like,
Terrible
yeah, like
idea.
I always praise like it's the coolest thing that like our brain produces chemicals, like our eyes, like you can just see stuff and like the fact that you can listen to this podcast right now is fucking insane, right? But you hurt your knee and then it never heals the same, and it's the same. You know what I mean?
So
like
stupid.
the same way that our bodies
Yeah.
are so amazing and so
So
resilient. It's so dumb. Like there was a fucking guy or girl, this individual that survived falling out of a fucking plane because their parachute broke.
Yeah, they like hit the ground and bounced, and
Yeah, the
they're
parachute
fine.
didn't go and they pulled the cord, like it was defective. They fucking fell. I don't know how high you are when you are skydiving.
A few thousand feet,
2,000 feet to the
yeah.
fucking ground and survived. It was like
Yeah.
broke a leg and was fine.
No, somebody.
Like
Oh, did you ever see the Reddit thread of how to survive a plane crash?
no.
So it's a guy. I think he was. I don't know. He was very qualified for the subject. Long story short, basically, if you know what you're doing, you can increase the odds of like falling out of a plane, as long as you don't like die when you get ejected, get hit by shrapnel, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you manage to stay conscious the whole way down, your odds of survival are like well over 50-50. Like 75% or better.
Yeah, well, and so you combine those odds
Because
with,
like terminal velocity is not that high if you flare, and if you hit a
you
really
put your
soft
arms
piece
up.
of ground,
Yeah.
you'll like shatter your legs and shit, but like you can definitely survive.
yeah.
And
Um,
I remember down this Reddit thread, there was like a bunch of the top comments where all of a sudden there's gonna be a plane crash, and like
no one dies.
the plane will detonate in the air, and 80% of the people will survive after hitting the ground, and just everyone's gonna be like mind blown.
Well, and if you combine 50% survival with your odds of getting in a plane crash, pretty good fucking odds.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much invincible.
I had a friend in fucking junior high that like would constantly jump out of cars and shit,
Yeah.
like just to see if he could. Like, and he would jump like, and like he would keep going like more and more. Like every so often he'd be like, okay, when you're dropping me off, only slow down to 20 this time. And like he would like jump and roll out.
Yeah.
And he got to a point where he was jumping. I remember he would climb and jump off of my elementary or my middle school, like a 5-story jump, and roll out and be fine. Because he was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I've been watching this ninja movie where they roll out. He's like, I Googled it to see if it was real, and I think I know how to do it now. And I'm like, okay, please don't jump off the school. And he jumped off the school and like rolled out and was fine.
I can do probably about like 15 feet.
Yeah, he was jumping like probably 40 feet and being fine. He was fucking, I remember he jumped out of a fucking car at 50 and was fine. Like, okay, when I think back at some of the shit I did when I was a kid,
This is really
I wasn't
dumb.
jumping out of fucking cars when I was at 50, but I was jumping out of cars.
Yeah, it's like I hope my kids aren't like me.
Well, we used to fucking like tie sleds to the bumper and shit and
Oh
fuck
yeah,
around
well
and, like,
that's just good fun.
yeah, like
That's
soon,
good
like,
wholesome
when we were
country fun.
when we were 15 and a half and like 2 of us got licenses. So then just shit went. Our buddy Josh, like his parents bought him a car right when he turned like 16. So we just spent our nights, instead of hanging out at McDonald's, just hanging out in his car and like driving around.
This is the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
That fucking freedom, man.
Yeah. Freedom is I said earlier off camera that like, because we were talking about you have a few different crossroads. We won't get into specifics, but you have a few different crossroads with your business coming up.
Yeah.
And I said to you to I would rather less money and more freedom
Yeah.
than the inverse. Like,
Yeah. But is that in the long run, or is that like on a daily basis?
Every single fucking day.
Yeah, I see it more I see more long term. I'm willing to sacrifice day to day to have like a better year.
See, I never will.
Yeah,
like
that's why we're always like fundamentally different the way we do shit.
Yeah, but this is what I always say to people. I always have people in their early 20s that are, oh no, it's my 25th birthday next week.
Ruh-roh.
I'm not going to be in my early 20s anymore.
I was going to say, did you just say that?
Oh no.
Oh no.
But I have a lot of friends in their early 20s that live with their parents still.
Yeah.
And say, well, you know how much fucking money I save living without my parents? Or living with my parents? Number one, most of those people spend all their fucking money on coke and don't have a fucking cent to save.
Or save it all up and just buy an average house.
Which is fine. But number two, I rent a house in a nice neighborhood with two of my, one of my oldest friends and her boyfriend. So this is a 4-bedroom house on a fucking
giant lot.
Yeah, on an acre with probably not quite 1,000 square foot, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, and you're a 10-minute walk from a McDonald's.
Yeah. No, I'm in a major city center. I'm 15 minutes from downtown, like
with an acre lot, 2-car garage.
But we split $1,800 a month. So I'm paying $600 a month for this place. Plus bills, but Hydra's fucking cheap. So I probably pay all in $660 a month, $660 a month for everything. I had this conversation last week. I would pay 3 times that for the independence that I have right now.
Yeah, fucking A.
I couldn't get fucking anything done if I lived with my parents.
I was bouncing between my mom's place and my girlfriend's parents' place, and just the toxic environment of just those family relationships was so bad, and I'm I'm willing to part with all of my savings right now plus all of my net profits every month. I'm because living expense, I didn't have to pay for half my meals because moms.
Well, if I lived with my parents, I
didn't have rent, didn't have utilities, didn't have internet. I was probably $2,000 a month. I was saving. Yeah. It wasn't worth it.
Literally, I moved out right when I turned 18, and then I spent, I can't remember how long, a couple months back with my parents, when I was 19 when I was 20 before the business opened, because I was homeless.
Yeah.
And I had signed a lease for a new place, but I couldn't move in for 2 months. So I spent the interim time in their basement, but I didn't get a room or anything. I just slept on the couch. But I have not been with my parents in a long time. But I could not run my business if I had to be and it's not, there's a, I think pretty much my entire vocabulary is either hip hop quotes or George Carlin quotes, but there's a Hoodie Allen song where he says, "I love my mom and dad, but I don't want them as a roommate."
That sums it up.
I'm on a pretty good terms with my parents now. I wasn't when I was a teenager, but I'm more or less on good terms with them now. But I can acknowledge that they're not exactly toxic, but I can't fucking live with them. We're not. You're nothing alike. We're so different. I can't. And I promise you, this business would not have worked if I had to come home to them every night.
Yeah, probably not. No.
So, and a lot of people would say, "Well, I don't run a business, so it doesn't matter." But it's the mental health.
Replace business with job, or career, it's all relevant.
Take your rent, right? Your $600 a month, whatever you would pay renting a place, and say that's the cost of mental health. Mental health just costs $1,000 a month. That's what you got to pay for. So move out to your own fucking place and pay that money for your mental health. That's just what it costs.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That's how I look at it.
Pay your fucking... Well, you live with your mother way later than I live with my parents.
Well, to be fair, I lived with my mother
Well, you
after having not lived with her since I was 11.
Okay, fair. But you lived you lived with a parent though.
Yeah, but we were more like roomies though.
Well, when did you move to the city?
I moved to the city when I was 19.
Yeah, because like shortly before you met me.
I was living on my own for 2 years before that though.
Where, in Morden?
In Winkler Morden, yeah. I had my own place. I had my own I had a townhome, like a really nice place actually.
Because small town.
Yeah, and I was making good money, so
Yeah.
I had a really nice place and a nice car, ready for like 2 years before I.
Oh yeah,
moved to
you
the
were
city.
driving a fucking like right-hand drive JDM and everything like.
No, like I had a brand new, fully loaded Chrysler 200.
Oh yeah. Oh, rip that 200.
Yeah, right. And I
fuck.
had like 1,800 square foot townhome with like 18-foot vaulted ceilings.
What was your JDM you drove in high school? What car was that?
I had a 91 Skyline.
Oh, shout any car heads watching or listening?
Yeah, it was a fucking dope car. But no, after that I had
I remember.
I had a fully loaded big black Denali on big wheels.
I remember the 200 for the couple months before
Yeah.
it got totaled. Rip.
No, I had it for a long time when you knew me.
Did you?
I had
was
it-
just-
I had
well,
it
we
until...
weren't as good friends then.
No, dude, I had it until halfway through my time at the Wolseley house.
Yeah.
That was like year 2 or 3 of friendship.
We weren't this tight though.
We were going out for dinner twice a week.
You had the 200, really?
Yeah.
I feel like I never was in that car once.
Like, right around when I started working for John is when I left it. Or lost it.
Probably. I feel like I was never in that car.
Probably not.
That's weird. I don't know. Well, I feel like I've been in your fucking G5 like a bunch now. Like I don't.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
Anyways, I
fucking
got like a
whatever.
$300
I've
G5
also
now,
this
it's
is
hilarious.
I'm about to hit 2 liters of fucking vodka soda here, so
Maybe it's time to wrap this shit up.
I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap up my noodling. Call back.
For extra security, wrap it twice.
You know what I'm proud of right now?
What?
This was an entire podcast we didn't talk about politics.
Ooh, it's because there's nothing going on.
Literally, which I want
Except for Biden putting lots of kids in cages. It's fine, though.
Here's the thing.
They had an explanation. It's fine. Don't gotta
Here's
worry
the thing,
about
though. We still only talked about business for like half of it. The rest was airport security and fucking
It's all
bullshit.
relevant. It's all relevant.
Yeah, it's fine. But this is a business podcast at the end of the day. Let's end this podcast with a business tip of the day. I don't have one either. I don't know why you're looking at me like that.
I would say my business tip of the day.
Make it something relevant to what you're doing right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. My business tip of the day is understand that whatever money you're making is because you're fucking responsible for something and people are paying you to be responsible for that thing. And then if you fail, or even if you don't fail, but something goes wrong and then people hold you responsible, don't get offended. Don't be a little bitch about it. just man the fuck up or woman the fuck up or person the fuck up.
Yeah, non-binary.
just
You can be anything.
Show
we don't
the
judge.
fuck up and deal with the issue because I just witnessed today a general contractor get real butthurt because there was a suspected gas leak on the job site, and of course the homeowner immediately goes to the general contractor,
Of course.
because his options are handyman who helps clean up garbage around the house, tile guy,
Tyler.
or general contractor. For gas leak problem, call general contractor, right? That makes the most sense, right?
The 3 of those, yeah.
They ripped off a portion of your house. They rebuilt it. They did a bunch of this shit. They dug a hole in your backyard.
Maybe it just smells like rotten eggs.
The house reeked of rotten eggs. Turned out it was actually probably a methane thing.
Woo.
But
Do you know that a lot of those gases don't have any smell?
yeah,
And
no, CO does not. Yeah.
We add
Radon.
the smell
Yes, no, the natural gas we had the smell.
When we manufacture gas, like put it in containers, and we don't manufacture the gas, obviously, we take it out of the atmosphere. But when we put it in containers and sell it, we add bad smells so that people smell it.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
But anyways, so this was an issue. Homeowner calls GC, and GC whines to me like a whiny little bitch. That he's like, I get blamed for everything when shit goes wrong. And I'm like, yeah, you do, because you're the general contractor. You're
in charge.
General responsibility and general liability for the general issues that happen on the job site. So shut the fuck up, because you just made $40,000 for sitting on your ass managing this project.
I'm
like, shut up.
I just finished watching a series. It's on Netflix. If you're listening, it's called Bad Blood. It's about the Canadian mafia. We had a mafia family operating in Montreal and Quebec. They're pretty much eradicated now, but and this is all real. Like, it's at least the first season uses like actual news clips and shit. Like, it's the real story. It's actors playing the people, but it's like, it's not a documentary.
Sorry,
but
what's it called again?
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Yeah. So it's there's only 2 seasons and it's like over. They're not making another one. It was like a limited run, but. First season, like pretty much exactly what happened. I Googled it later and I'm like, oh, this is like exactly what happened. Second season, they kind of go off the rails, and because I think they got like renewed for a second season, like, oh, what do we do now? And then they just made one of the characters that's fictionalized, like make its own thing, which didn't actually happen. But anyway, the first season at least, they use like real news clips. Like I see Peter Mansbridge is in it, and it's like doing a news report. I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, but there's this. So he's running a mafia family. This guy Declan. And he says one of these guys like steals coke from him or whatever, and then they sell it to the Hells Angels, but it's like, because he stole it from him and cut it, it's like less pure than it should be. Mm-hmm. So then the Hells Angels like go to war with him because they're like, oh, they're fucking stealing from us, right? And then they're basically like, okay, well, it was not your fault, it's this guy's fault. And then his first response was, no, it happened under my watch, it's my fault.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter that I'm not going to go to them and tell them someone stole from me. It was someone else. It was me. I allowed it to happen. Even though he got fucked over, he's like, I take responsibility for it. He didn't even try to argue it.
Yeah, it's like...
that's the same kind of idea.
Jocko Willink talks about this a lot. I have his book, Extreme Ownership, which is you take ownership of issues that you have no business taking ownership of. Like a soldier taking responsibility for shit going wrong, even though like he's not responsible for the geopolitical climate and shitty browbeating that like got him in there in the first place, but he takes responsibility for the result, because that's like what a responsible soldier does, because that's how you have to operate. Like a business owner is exactly the same.
If you want to be a fucking boss,
act like a fucking boss all the time, because you know what the customer's gonna respect? When
leadership.
You don't whine like a little bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
what's the phrase? Everyone wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit.
100%.
Same kind of fucking idea. Everyone wants to be a fucking boss until it's time to take fucking responsibility for being a boss. Like, you are the boss of this situation. Don't be a bitch.
Yeah, I've seen it in tech guys where they like.
I've seen it in everyone. I've seen this fucking. This is common.
Well, like here's the example for a tech guy. It's like you're in a meeting, and let's say sales are down, or products performing like it shouldn't, or less than it should, and they blame one of their employees or subordinates.
Yeah.
That's a bitch ass move.
Yeah. I used to do that.
That's a bitch ass move.
I used to do that. I agree.
Not really. Like, I think you took a lot of responsibility for your employees that did dumb shit.
Yeah, because I had an employee.
You took it personally. You're like, I shouldn't have done this. I should have done this differently.
Because I care about, like, I do care about my business. Thank you for saying that.
No, you did not sit around and bitch about like, this person did this to me. Like, you didn't play victim.
I have, yeah, okay, yeah,
I don't think you ever played victim.
I don't think I ever did either. But I have used the excuse to a client, be like, oh, sorry, they got fucked up by an employee.
That's totally, you can throw people under the bus all day long. Don't throw your own employees under the bus in front of your other employees. You can throw, like, quote unquote, one of my employees under the bus.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't put anyone at fault. It's like,
but
that's a way to, that's like sales, that's conversation.
Yeah.
You're smoothing things over.
I
That's not the same.
There's I know a guy that has a contracting business, much like yourself, but he's a sole proprietorship, like he's the only employee.
Mm-hmm.
But on the back of his van, it says like van number 76 or something.
Yeah, unit number 076.
Yeah. And it says how's my driving or so, like
or
it didn't have a how's my driving, but it just had a number because he's a contractor.
Yeah.
So someone called him and like, someone in your fucking van 76 fucking cut me off in traffic. And he's like thank you for calling. I'm just gonna transfer you to customer care or whatever. They're like, okay. Puts the phone down for a second. Customer care, how may I help you? Like, literally same guy. He's only one employee. Like, you're a fucking, like, starts ranting. He's like, yep. Listens to him. They're like, you know what? I empathize with you. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have done that. They will be disciplined. We'll talk to them. We take this really seriously. All this, blah, blah, blah. He's the only fucking employee. But this customer, or I don't know if they were going to be a customer, right?
Well,
but
this person feels vindicated. Yeah.
Feels vindicated. I don't know if this really relates, but it's, well, even like,
that is like the opposite extreme where, like, I feel like the wrong guy would have just been offended.
Well, see yeah. Well, because that's a good. Here's my business piece of advice for the day. Maybe let's try to do. Let's try to make this a segment.
Sure.
Okay. What helped me a lot when I was had a smaller business was giving the image that the business was a lot bigger than it was.
Yeah, let me transfer you.
No,
between you and Zach.
Literally that.
I know.
We used to do that. Me and my partner are the only people in the company for 3 years. He would say that, like, let me transfer you. He would hand me the phone. I would hold it for 5 seconds and then be like, hello, like sales, whatever. But like even our friend, shout out Christian Zappa, who owns Cleaner Group. If you need your your yard did. He has his first ever truck that he got when he was still shoveling fucking driveways. Said Supervisor 003 on the back. When he was the only fucking employee. Now he actually does have like 20 employees. Yeah. But when he started, it was like Supervisor 003. His license plate is his brand and like a 3. Cleaner 3 is his custom license plate because he didn't even have 1 and 2. Yeah. But that was
no, that's fantastic.
And
are you guys gonna do that?
Yeah, maybe.
You should.
Well, and
definitely should.
That's what I started doing with you can start it as like I want to try and put my business advice. If we make this a segment, I'll try to put my business advice in practical what you can do today. Google, Bluehost, whoever you're using for your website, you can make 30 fucking emails. Yeah. I made sales at shrugdot.com. I made jobs at shrugdot.com. I made like all the I made 20 emails when we started, right? And when people email the main contact email or they fill out the contact form that goes to the contact email, I direct them to a department usually. People email contact, I say, hey, thank you for your question. If they're worth my time, because I'll respond with contact usually if they're like not really worth my time, like tire kickers or random salespeople. Because I'm basically trying to gatekeep myself. Yeah. So gatekeeping is one of the most valuable thing for your time. They do it. If you're ever in sales and you try to walk in to name a place, a marketing firm or like a law firm to sell them something. Yeah. And the secretary goes, oh no, sorry, he's not here today. Yeah, that's he's probably there today.
100% he's there. He's always there. He's there before and after she's there.
Yeah. But that's called gatekeeping. You do not let random fucking salesman without an appointment into that office. So I couldn't afford a secretary. So
you are your own secretary.
I gatekeep myself where I take this. So if someone emails me, I'm like, hey, and it's actually relevant. I say, hey, can you actually give our co-owner Willows an email? This is his email, but I'm just responding to it myself as my contact email, so that they email me, and I segment my emails like that. Mm-hmm. So I have everything I remember like my office, I had my name on my door and shit like that, but it's like we only have 2 people here. But I had my name on my door, I had different emails, I had different shit like that. Like I think, and then the biggest thing I did was I made, in name only, I didn't even register it, I made an association of winemakers. I made a Facebook page, I made whatever, I said, we are the Association of Winemakers.
And you put this in the press releases too, didn't you?
No, I put it in a press release, and I made a logo, and I made myself the president of the Association of Winemakers. And when I started talking to the government about liquor law and stuff, I noticed that I got calls back when I said I was the president of the Association of Winemakers rather than owner of Shrugging Dr. Beverage Company.
Yeah, because governments listen to associations, not to corporations.
It almost was like I'm not being selfish.
Yeah.
I'm not a selfish business owner looking after his own means. It's like I'm
looking after the interests of an industry.
Yeah. And now I have an association with 10 members with different companies, and we're doing what I could only dream of doing back then. But I saw the vision. I was like, okay, here's what we do, right? So that's going to be my concrete piece of business advice. Even if you're fucking, dude. So we just ported our phone number over to a service called Ring Central.
Yeah.
We really like them. It's a VoIP essentially.
Yeah.
Like it's a phone company that doesn't have, it's like they don't do any phones, right? Like it's
all VoIP. So
yeah,
I
virtual.
think most people know what that is.
Yeah, virtual phones, right? So I have like 4 numbers now. I don't have them set up. I just have the main number. But what I could do is have extensions and shit.
Oh, I had so much of I had layers deep with my fucking Cleveland property management. I had so many layers of phone numbers before my phone number.
Yeah, so when people...
And my phone still rang, but not as much.
But even just to break up, because I have one partner, we each deal with very specific parts of our business. Even just to break up who calls who is valuable. So it's like press 1 if you want sales, press 2 if you want whatever, right? But even stuff like that, like we pay no more than that than we do just paying with Rogers, like to have a phone number.
Yeah.
Get something like that. Have yourself multiple phone numbers. That can give you the air of being a bigger company because...
And like if you're American, use Google Voice.
Google Voice is great.
So cheap.
We can't do it in Canada.
So cheap. We'll get it yet eventually.
Yeah, but...
like 15 years.
It's kind of a fake it till you make it thing where people... There's a weird... It's like people always buy the middle price, right?
Yeah.
Because the top price is too expensive for them, but the low price, you're like, in your head, this happens subconsciously a lot of times. It's like, why is it so cheap? It must be shitty.
Yeah.
Right? The same exact thing happens, and they've done studies on this, that small companies aren't prepared to handle... You know what I mean? Like it's like, well, why their products probably aren't as good because they're not very big.
Yeah, they don't seem prepared. They don't sound organized.
So any business you're in, whether it's product or service, it's like, if people knew that you were just one guy tiling or whatever with 2 months of experience, or how it's been like 6 months now, they might be like, whoa, maybe I want someone with more experience.
Yeah, I had a recent like cold lead come in, like a cold referral. And she sent me a bunch of pictures. She's like, I want this and this redone. She sent me the dimensions. So it was like completely over email quote. No in person. Don't know who she is. She doesn't know who I am. I'm literally just a random dude with a personal email address. I wasn't even using my business email.
Yeah.
And just through using the right language, through that shit that I've learned of like working with so many startups, of like appearing... given the professional experience, it was in like just in the subtleties of like how you start and end the emails, the frequency, the response rate. Like, for example, she had sent me an email. We were like back and forth between 2 days, like 14 messages back and forth, like really shorthand, and then as you get to like message 4, now brevity is not an issue, right?
Yeah. You don't have to introduce your email. Hey, Charlotte.
Because now you look like a fucking Asper grad. And that's unattractive as hell.
The formal.
Yeah. Brevity is important.
Oh yeah, no,
as
I respond
formality.
all the time. I always say this, like, you know who people want to buy from? The fucking easiest person it is to buy from.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'll preface that with B2B, selling like business to business. They just
yeah,
want it to be fun.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I sell fucking kegs of cider over Facebook Messenger
Yep.
because they want it to be. They don't want to fucking place a huge order and have it all be a thing. Like
Yeah, no, same. If I'm dealing with other contractors, yeah, it'll be over text
you literally.
or WhatsApp or whatever. But so this is over email. So she sent me whatever final reply. I totally missed her message, and I didn't respond for 5 days. Not a great response time.
That's faster than I fucking respond. I answer my emails once a week
Oh, yeah.
because I'm in the office Sundays to open the store.
Yeah.
That's when I do my emails. I don't give it. People like triple.
What do
email
you do?
Me. What do you mean?
The other 6 days.
I don't know. Jerk off. Fuck them. I was playing Payday 2 recently.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Anyways, waited 5 days. So I'm like, oh, fuck, whatever. I found her email because I don't check my email that often because I'm busy. And then I responded. I'm like, hey, yeah, sorry, whatever, your quotes, whatever, really complicated, and got it almost all together. I'll respond to you later tonight. Later that day, I start making the quote.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
finish it.
Let's go.
Make it really well detailed, whatever, fully deliver. And I send it to her. I'm doing through QuickBooks, so like it's really easy to just like make your quote, send it
And they
out,
can pay it
whatever,
online and
like
everything.
shorthand, whatever, just slack on that part.
Yeah.
When I sent out the invoice, I typed probably a 4-paragraph email describing why I made the invoice the way it is.
Okay.
Almost not like I'm very careful with my language. I'm like, I'm not defending my price, but I'm explaining
What they're getting.
Like I'm selling the value of what I'm doing. I'm not defending the price.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
agree.
same thing, but it's different language.
I get people all the time that are like, "Why is this bottle of wine $25?" I'm like,
I have Grammarly,
Here's-
actually. I've Grammarly running on my Chrome browser,
which is
and it'll actually give you a flag, and it says the language
use a better
the
word.
language of this text sounds uncertain.
interesting. Oh, I'm Grammarly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start
it gives
using
you,
that. I've
it
never
gives you
heard of that.
tone. It will tell you what the tonality of your
I've
message
never
is.
heard of that. I'm gonna start using it. Grammarly. I like that.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
free.
That. I like that.
So it's like uncertainty versus like certain versus confident.
yeah,
So I get like certain, confident, and casual.
that's interesting.
So I'm able to nail
Grammarly.
that. Yeah,
Shout out.
yeah, I'm able to nail that every time I do these.
This episode sponsored by Grammarly.
So yeah, I did like a 4-paragraph email like selling the price. It's a tiny shower. We're talking like 30-inch by 30. Like it's the size of this table. This shower is the size of this table, and it's $3,000 that I'm billing her for it.
So, camera died again. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, last episode,
You're probably really disappointed.
yeah, no kidding. Last episode recorded for like an hour and 11 minutes, and this episode I just checked the camera, recorded for an hour and 11 minutes. So I'm not sure if that's like I'll figure it out. I don't want to. I have no idea. But sorry if the video cut out. We appreciate you trying to watch at least. Hope you got some value out of this. I think this is a really good episode, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well,
White shell be delivering.
This is a good. Yeah, I had a couple of glasses of wine with dinner as well, so I'm feeling pretty good. I got to be up super early tomorrow, but
Same.
you know, well, we all yeah. What else is new, right?
What else is new?
Thank you for listening to the podcast. This has been Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics or whatever. We just kind of do whatever, but we're drunk while we do it, or sober. Who knows? Alcohol Beyond.
Outro's was better than the intro.
True. Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram. Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook. Give us a follow, please. Stream us on Spotify or whatever. And if you're listening to this episode, please comment somewhere where you're listening from. I would really like to know. If you want to send us a bottle for shot collar, address of our P.O. box is on the screen right now. I'm just kidding. We don't have one. My name is Willows, at Vote Willows, VOTEWILLOWS, on everything. Name a thing, literally, on Steam. Play Payday 2 with me.
Spotify.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you're just Willows on Spotify.
Willows with a crown emoji on Spotify. Follow some of my playlists. I got some good ones.
Really hard to find.
Yeah, it's way down.
Your grime playlist is fucking fire, man.
Thank you. I got some good
Speaking of that, I'm right after, like, I was listening to some grime and drill the other day while me and Carly were like cleaning the house.
That's the way to go.
And she's like, "What the fuck is this?" She was so annoyed. She's like, "I can't understand a goddamn word." And the next day, The Economist, like whatever major podcast / magazine from the UK,
yep,
were talking about the proliferation of like drill and grime and how it's actually influencing language in American hip hop now.
100% is. Shout out Grime. Grime has fucking.
I'm like, that's fantastic. And they're like, yeah, this artist and this song. I'm like, oh, I know that song. And they're like, this artist and that song. And I'm like, oh, I know that song.
Yeah, pretty grime good. Is UK hip hop, but I think it needs to be specifically UK drill hip hop.
No, grime and drill are apparently different.
Oh, no. I mean, like, okay, drill rap is like.
Was initially started in Chicago.
Yeah, like Montana 300.
It's like really dark.
It's
really dark, really fast-paced electronic beats.
Yeah, the flow is usually like da 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 like about selling drugs, about like drill. I think Chief Keef is drill technically.
But the UK stuff is more
Anyway, but UK drill is called grime.
It's like that, but no guns, just knives.
But then the UK is really weird because they have a lot of techno influence.
Yeah.
Because they've had, I guess, like disco and shit is like bigger in Europe than it is here. So you get a lot of even modern grime that's like these weird kind of not
techno
beats that not because like they didn't have dubstep the same way we did. Like it's a lot more house music. Like I have a search up Willows. It's Willows with a crown emoji. It's a picture of my face on a fucking king photoshopped on Spotify. Follow my grime playlist. I have a co-host that hasn't introduced.
Anyways, yeah. I'm Tyler. Tyler underscore. Why the fuck do I do this every time?
That's the third episode in a row you've said underscram.
Tyler underscore the builder on Instagram.
Instascore?
I don't use Twitter because it confuses me, although I really like watching the play-by-play of things happening to shitty people. Despite the fact that I like politics.
What are you talking about?
Have a great night.
You too,
Listen
buddy.
to some grime. Be grimy and don't be a little bitch.
That is
the episode.
Episode 26, baby.
Hang the fuck up.
Cheers.